Hi and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, just as a summary, I'm going through the GCSE Edexcel Maths Higher 9 to 1 syllabus. You can also use my videos if you're doing the foundation as well. I will try to define which videos are specifically for the higher syllabus students. So this is video 2.5, expanding and factorizing part 2. So we're still currently in the section 2, expressions. So we have another 2 more videos also to finish this section. So in the last video, we looked at expanding out brackets and factorizing, but this is for linear expressions mainly. Okay, so now we're going to dive into slightly harder versions of the last video. First of all, before we do anything, we're going to do a small recap on the steps for expanding out the brackets. So here's a recap. So expanding out the bracket is when you're multiplying out the terms inside the brackets with the terms outside of the set of brackets. The first thing you need to do is start from the left-hand side. Okay, so same as if you were reading a book, you always start from the left-hand side. Identifying the multiplier. This step is quite important because sometimes what happens is sometimes what people do is instead of writing the multiplier on the left hand side, what they do is they write it on the right hand side or something. So when they do that, most of the time what happens is students, they just get disoriented. They get really confused. They say, oh, this wasn't there, so I don't know what to do with it. But what you need to understand is the multiplier is either side of the brackets. Most of the time, it's best practice to start from the left-hand side because it's a starting place. You always start from the left-hand side and you know where to start from. But the multiplier can be either side, so you can move the multiplier in front of the set of brackets or behind the set of brackets, but you can't move it inside the set of brackets. So that's the difference thing. And the multiplier, as you can remember from my last video, multiplier is not separated out by an addition sign, subtraction sign, or a division sign. So once you've identified the multiplier, the third step is to multiply the terms with the multiplier. Once you've multiplied the first term, you move to the second term. Once you've multiplied the second term by the multiplier, you move to the third, fourth, and fifth, and so on and so forth. So after you've finished multiplying all the terms inside the brackets with the multiplier outside the bracket, finally simplify it further. See if you can simplify it any further. If you can't, don't worry, that's fine. It would be the simplest possible way. But if you can simplify it, do simplify it, because most of the time, say for example, a question is 2 marks long and they say, oh, expand out this bracket. What they want you to do is they want you to expand the bracket and simplify it the best you can. So if you don't simplify it, you will lose marks. The expanding part 2. So what is the key difference between expanding part 1 and expanding part 2? Well, now instead of having the number or a term, we're going to have another set of brackets. So in total, we're going to have 2 sets of brackets. So when I say sets of brackets, I mean bracket open, bracket close, and then we're going to have another bracket open, another bracket close. So it's just going to be 2 brackets being multiplied together, and you will see this in a later in an example coming now. So the rules for this. So as on the previous one, in this one you always start from the left hand side, and with the first term you multiply out using the same method as you have done previously. Then what you do is, so you're still in the first set of brackets, okay? So once you've multiplied out the first term with the rest of the other brackets with the second set of brackets, what you do is you move to the second term of the first set of brackets, and then you multiply out the terms in the second set of brackets. So remember, you must keep the sign same. So if it's a plus, you must keep it a plus. If it's a minus, you must keep it a minus. Otherwise, you will get the answer horribly wrong. So repeat steps 1 and 2 until all the terms of the first brackets are finished. So when I say finish, is all the terms in the first set of brackets are multiplied with all the terms in the second set of brackets. You don't need to multiply the all the terms in the second set of brackets with the first set of brackets, because they'll just be like doubling something again. It's not necessary to do. It would be wrong to do. So collect the like terms and simplify like always. So these are the 4 main steps that you need to follow when expanding part 2. They're pretty much the same for expanding part 1, but the only difference is you need to consider 2 brackets. So let's look at an example. So example 1, expanding brackets part 2. So here we have x plus 3 in the first set of brackets and x minus 5 in the second set of brackets. So what we're going to do is I'm going to write it down like this. It is much easier for me to draw arrows and do things with. So first we're going to take x multiplied by x. So remember, I'm just going to find the pointer. Laser pointer, okay. So this is the first set of bracket and this is the second set of bracket. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do x multiplied with x. Remember that anything outside the bracket that does not have a plus sign, a minus sign, or a division sign in between this bracket area, it means this whole thing is being multiplied with this whole thing. So first set of brackets is being multiplied with second set of brackets. So x multiplied by x. I'm going to write it down like this. Now we're going to move to this second term of the second set of brackets. So I'm going to put a plus sign here and move into x multiplied by minus 5. Remember, this is minus 5. It's best practice to always put a plus sign here and then put the brackets in and then go like this. Because as you can remember, brackets can be used to show a group. So this is one group, this is second group, and so on and so forth. And then what we're going to do is, because we have multiplied all the terms in the second set of brackets with the first term in the first set of brackets, we're going to move into the second term of the first set of brackets and multiply the second set of brackets again. So we're going to do a 3 times x plus 3 times x. Then what we're going to do is plus 3 times minus 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify all of these brackets. So we're going to remove all of these brackets and simplify it down. The first term is x squared. As you can remember from my indices video, anything of the same base multiply itself is squared because it's to the power of 2. So this is the same as saying x to the power of 1, x to the power of 1. So when you're multiplying with the same base, you add the indices together, which becomes x to the power of 1 plus 1, which is x to the power of 2, which is also x squared. Now you get the second term. I'm still going to keep the plus sign there, but I'm going to put it in a bracket. So I'm going to say x times minus 5 is the same as saying minus 5x. Then plus 3 times x is 3x plus 3x. Then you do 3 times minus 5, that is minus 15. Then I'm going to simplify that further. Squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15. Well, if you actually look at that, these two things, they're actually common because if you think about it, x and x, these can be simplified together because these are like terms. So we are going to simplify that. The simplified expanded brackets, so expanding these brackets and simplifying gives this answer, x squared minus 2x minus 15. So this is how you expand out the brackets. Now let's look at another example, expanding the bracket part 2. So as you can see in this example, instead of having x, we have y. Well, not to worry, the only thing that is changing is this y. You just do the same process as you were to do it in the earlier example. Now, if you want to pause the video and have a go at yourself, you are more than welcome to. But if not, let's carry on with it. So, same as before, I'm going to write it down here. Now, we're going to start off with the first set of brackets, and we're going to start off with the first term of the first set of brackets. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to do x multiplied by y. Write that down here. And then we're going to move to the next term of the second set of brackets, which is x multiplied by minus 4. Now we've finished all the terms in the second set of brackets by multiplying it with the first term of the first set of brackets. Now we're going to move on to the second term of the second set of brackets, which is going to be minus 3x multiplied by y. And then we're going to move forward, which is minus 3x multiplied by minus 4. Now we're going to simplify this. X multiplied by y. Well, they're not the same base, so you can't use indices. So the only thing you can do is you can just leave it as it is. So leave it as it is means x times y is the same as saying xy. Now we're going to move to the second term, which is plus, and then minus 4, so x times minus 4 is the same as saying minus 4x. And then minus 3 multiplied by y is the same as saying minus 3y. And then minus 3 multiplied by minus 4, that's the same as saying 12. Now, as you can see, this is the answer. So you can't actually simplify anything furthermore because these two terms, they are not like terms. And then if I move this one here and then take out the like term, I'm still leaving on with this y. So you don't actually need to simplify any further because you can't simplify any further. But this is what the correct answer is for this expanded bracket. So now let's move on. So recap of factorizing. Well, what is factorizing? Factorizing is breaking down a number or expression into its factors. Or in the simplest form, factorizing is the process of putting brackets in. So in expanding, you're taking brackets out. In factorizing, you're putting brackets in. So first of all, factorizing, the first step to do is break all the terms into its factor form. So remember, this is the previous one, not this one. So this is part 1 factorizing, not part 2. So break all the terms into its factor form. Secondly, find the common factor. Thirdly, write the common factor outside the bracket. And fourthly, write down all the other factors inside the bracket. So this is how you factorize a linear expression. And now, and then you simplify any remaining factors. I mean, of course, the simplifying any factors, you can do it at step 1, before step 1, or you can do it after step 1 as well, in the 5th step. So this is factorizing in a recap of factorizing. Let's move on to factorizing part 2. The main difference is that instead of taking a number or letter as a common term, we take an expression. So as you remember from recently, just what we did now, previously, we had 2 sets of brackets and we expanded out to give one full term. So instead of, not full term, one full expression. So instead of having one full expression, we're going to break it down into 2 separate two separate bracket sets. So that's what we're going to do in this factorizing. There will be 2 sets of brackets. So it's almost impossible to find the factors same as factorizing part 1, unless if you have good, when I say good, I mean To be fair, when I say good, you usually understand how to factorize like really quickly. It's quite simple, but at first it's a little hard to get used to and understand the process itself. So it's almost impossible to find the factors same as factorize in part one when you are a beginner. But other than that, it becomes easier, but most of the time it's quite hard as well. So we're going to use two methods. First method is called the factor method, and second is called the box method. The box method is sometimes teachers teach it, but most of the time teachers don't really teach it. But my maths teacher taught it to me, and I used it all through GCSE maths, A levels, and even first year of university. And it's a very good method. So factorizing, as we saw in the previous examples, so this is the kind of expression that we are looking to factorize. So most of the times, the expressions that we're looking to factorize in this part two of factorizing part two is this kind of equations or expressions rather. So we're going to look at the factor method. So first step of the factor method is see if the expression is in its simplest form and rearrange it to be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where x can be either x can be any number, but any letter. They can use a squared, a, and so on and so forth. They can use a, b, c, d, whatever. But the value of a, b, and c over here, it can be any number. So for example, in here, the value of a is 1, value of b is 2, value of c is 3, where you have the x squared and x. So this is kind of what you should aim to get your expressions to look like before you start factorizing. Next, list all the factor values of c while including negative factors. Most of you sometimes are not entirely sure what I mean by negative factors, but factors are just parts of the numbers that are being multiplied together. And I will show you how to use the negatives clearly in the next slide. So find which set of factors add up to get the value of b. Then those will be the numbers in the factorized brackets. So these are all the 4 steps that you need to follow in order to factorize a quadratic. This is called a quadratic expression. And in order to factorize this expression, this is what you need to follow, these 4 steps. Now let's look at working with negatives. First thing you need to know is multiplication of these negatives. So a plus multiplied by a plus gives a plus value. So any positive value multiplied by any positive value gives a positive value. Any positive value multiplied by a negative value always gives a negative value. Any negative value multiplied by a positive value always gives a negative value. Any negative value multiplied by a negative value always gives a positive value. So this statement, it's not actually a statement, it's a mathematical statement. So this is always true. This is never, never, ever wrong. This is always true. And you should always remember this statement, because most of the time, even I sometimes get confused, not confused, I sometimes miss out in things like this. So this is something that you need to keep your mind on. So always keep this on your mind. And when you're working with positives and negatives all the time, be very, very careful, because it's so easy to lose track of which sign it's in front of, like a positive or a negative. And most of the time, people always get it wrong. So example 3, proof of method 1. So this list is derived from the proof of this method. So this is the factor method steps. And in order to find these steps, people had to find proofs of these. So let's look at the proof. So let's say we have x plus a and then bracket x plus b. Now what we're going to do is we're going to expand out the brackets. So let's go ahead and expand out the bracket. So do the same as before. So do x times x, and then we do x times b, and then we do a x times a, or a times x, and then we do times b. Now we simplify everything together. So x times x becomes x squared, and then x times b becomes b, and then x times a becomes xa, and then we have a times b becomes ab. If you see this, we have x and x here. So that's a common factor. So as you can see, it's a common factor of x. Now, so we're going to take out that x. We're going to factorize that small bit. When we factorize that small bit, as you can see, the factors of this value, ab, these are factors, ab adds up to give this value. So as you can remember in the steps that I showed you before, we're going to use factors of this value to find that add up to find this value. So this is how the steps in the above slide that I showed you, this is how the steps are derived. Derived means how the steps are identified. These are the correct steps to do. But let's take an example. We're going to have x squared plus 3x plus 2. First of all, we're going to use, we're going to find the factors of 2. Factors of 2 can be 1 times 2 or minus 1 times minus 2. Because as you can remember, minus times a minus gives still a positive. So regardless of this sign up here, we're always going to consider the minus factors as well. So we're going to add these factors up. So 1 plus 2 gives 3. Minus 1 plus minus 2 gives minus 3. So as you can see, this value here, positive 3. So the factors that we actually need are 1 and 2. So these are the factors that we actually need. So when using the same form as in like this thing here, this how do I say, this template, we're gonna write it down like this. So this will be the correct answer for this expression. So this is the factorized version of this expression. So let's look at another example, example 5. So first of all, we're always going to find the factors of 10. They are 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and then those are the factors of 10. Then you're going to look at the minus side of the factors of 10. So minus 1 times 10 and minus 2 times 5. I'm sorry, minus 1 times minus 10, minus 2 times minus 5. So now we're going to add everything up. So 1 times 10, I'm sorry, 1 plus 10 is 11. 2 plus 5 is 7. Minus 1 plus minus 10 is minus 11. Minus 2 plus minus 5, that gives minus 7. So when considering this value here, as you can see, the only thing that actually is the correct answer is minus 7. So this is the same value as this one. So what does this mean? This means that correct value for the factorization is these two values, minus 2 and minus 5. And they can be put in these brackets like this. Now, so you've already seen the factor method. Now let's look at the box method. So the box method is slightly different because it pretty much shows you how these numbers are involved with each other. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a box. Then we're going to do a multiplication sign on top. So, and then we're going to fill in the things that we know already. So 7x squared. Yes, we're going to put the 7x squared here. So over in this box and this box, we're going to put the factors of this value. So factors of that value is 7x and x, because this box is going to be this side multiplied by this side gives the answer. This side multiplied by this side gives the answer here. This side multiplied by this side gives the answer here. This side multiplied by this side gives the answer here. Oh no, so sorry. This side multiplied by this side gives the answer here. So that's how this box method is going to do. Now, we know first is going to be 7x squared. Then we know one is going to be minus 10. So we're going to find the factors of minus 10, which are minus 1 times 10, minus 2 times 5, and then minus 5 times 2, then 1 times minus 10. So these are the factors. So remember that we can't just add everything up to here, from here to here, because this is a 7 in front. So it's not as easy as doing, oh yeah, x squared plus 3x minus 10, because that'll be much easier to see. But this is much harder because it has a 7 in front. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick out one by one, and then we're going to see which one suits best. So I'm going to put the minus 1 here, and then put the 10 here. So we're going to multiply this out. So 10 times would give you 10x. And then minus 1 times 7x will give you minus 7x. Now, if you simplify this together, minus 7x plus 10x will actually give you 3x. So the answer for this question is that this is one bracket, one set of brackets, and this is the second set of brackets. Or it can be either this is one set of brackets and this is the other set of brackets. So this is actually the answer. So let's get another example. So the box method, it's a little hard to actually give the proper steps in order to follow it. So that's why I'm showing you with an example. So example 6. Oh, sorry, I think, yeah, in here it should be an X. Sorry, my fault. So I'm just gonna put the pen. Yeah, here should be an X. Here we go. So here is meant to be an X. Sorry about that. So in this example, try and have a go at yourself, because this example is quite straightforward. You can use the factor method, but I want you to use the box method. If you're confident with this, please pause the video and have a go at yourself. Hopefully you've had a go at yourself or tried to do something. So let's look at it together. And if you didn't have a go and if you don't understand yet, that's absolutely fine. So factors of 5. This is positive 5. So we need to remember plus 1 multiplied by plus 1, 5 gives you plus 5. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 5 gives you plus 5. Now, draw the box and fill in the things that we already know. So, I'm missing everything today. So put the x here. The x, this is not x, this is a multiplication sign. So we already know that this is x squared. So we can just easily put the x on top and x on the side here. Then we know this is going to be a 5. So factors of 5. We're going to try 1 and 5. We're going to put the 1 here. That's going to be 1 times x, that's x. And put the 5 here, that's going to be x times 5, which is 5x. If you simplify this, it gives you x squared plus 6x plus 5. Well, from the main expression that we got, this is the wrong answer because this is plus 6, whereas this is minus 6. So let's look at it again. So that won't work. Let's look at the other one, minus version. Find this one, put the minus 1 here, and the minus 5 there, and minus 1 multiplied by x, that gives you minus x. And then minus 5 multiplied by x, that gives you minus 5x. And you simplify it. That gives you squared minus 6x plus 5. And this is the correct answer. So this is how you actually do the box method when factorizing. Usually you can use either method, it's absolutely fine, but most of the time I really like to use the box method because you can't go wrong with it. Like, it's sometimes a little longer sometimes, but it's so much easier than using the other method, where some people, most of the time people get it wrong in the other method because they try to do everything on their head. So they always mess up with the plus sign and the minus sign. So using the box method is always the best idea. So summary. In this video you have learned how to expand two sets of brackets. So yeah, we didn't talk about expanding 3, 4. So when you are expanding two set of brackets, what happens is you expand the set of brackets, and then when you're expanding brackets that are lengths of 3 and 4 and 5 and so on and so forth, what you're going to do is you're just going to expand two brackets, then you're going to simplify that bracket, and then you're going to expand that bracket with another bracket, and so on and so forth. So that's what I mean by expanding 3, 4, 5 brackets. It can get hard because there's lots of things to multiply, but if you keep track of everything and if you're good at writing everything down as they are, then you will have no problem. And then we learn how to factorize. And then factorizing, we learn how to do it in two methods. So we learn how to factorize using the box method, and we learn how to factorize using the factor method. So those are two methods that we learned. So we have thank you very much for listening. I really hope that you like this video and you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you understood the content of this video. If you didn't understand anything, please rewatch the video again, or just leave a comment down below in the description, and I will do my best to answer you back. And if you did like this video, please like and subscribe this video, and also let others know of this channel. Please leave your comments below if, like I said, if you didn't understand anything, or if you want me to go through something again, please leave your comments below. If this is your first time here, make sure you check out my playlist on the GCSE 921 full course content. So I will see you next time.